Okay, well, we are here. The final predictions of the regular season, Week 18, which is crazy, but yeah. Alright. First game, Panthers, Buccaneers. Now, initially, I was going to pick the Buccaneers before, probably right after the Panthers-Buccaneers game. The first game. I'm thinking, yeah. I picked the Panthers to win that game. However, I did not think that Carolina would win the division. Tampa had to play Miami and then them again. I'm sure Tampa will find a way to win that. That was not true. They lost to the Dolphins. This Buccaneers team is in a free fall. The Panthers, they are not in a free fall. Yeah, they lost to Seattle by 17, but they beat Tampa. They've beaten teams that they're not supposed to beat and lose to teams that they're supposed to beat. That's just how it's worked. They got swept by the Saints and yet beat the Rams. This is the most up and down team that there has been in the NFL this season. For that reason, I'm taking Carolina. The trend continues. Carolina is going to win this game. They're going to win the division. The Buccaneers aren't. They had a mid-season collapse, and around, I would say probably around week 15. That Saints game where they lost to. That was around the time that they should have started winning a game. And they weren't. They got beat. And they continued to lose. I'm taking Tampa. I'm taking Carolina in this game. I don't see Tampa being able to win. They are in a free fall. There's a lot of teams that are in a free fall, in my opinion, but the Panthers, they're not one of them. Tampa is, and the Panthers, I think, are gonna win. But this should be a really good game. Now, the final game of the Saturday slate, which is probably going to be the best game of the week. Seattle taking on San Francisco in San Francisco. Alright. Seattle's on the road. They're the 1 seed. Winner of this game gets the 1 seed. That's how it's going to be. Whoever wins this game will get the 1 seed. Seattle, I think, will win. And here's why. Seattle's too good of a team to get swept by the 49ers. And I know the 49ers are a good team. However, I don't think Seattle is. I think Seattle's ahead of them. I think they're better. I do. Is this the 49ers year? Like I said in my power rankings, it might be. I mean, there's no Chiefs to beat them in the Super Bowl. But one of the big things that this 49ers team cannot seem to get past. Also, and when they do get past it, that's when the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl, is that NFC Championship game. So both these teams are going to win this game. Well, both these teams are going to make the playoffs. This might be a potential NFC Championship match. I don't even think it's going to be the Rams anymore. I think the Rams are beginning to also slide, and that's not what you want heading into the playoffs. I think this could very well be the NFC Championship matchup. Like, this could be what it is. Seattle and San Francisco. It might also be Seattle and Philadelphia or Seattle and Chicago. Either way, it's Seattle. And it's Seattle that wins. But the 49ers, I think the Seahawks team is too good to get swept by them. They already had that fluky loss in week 1 where they had an opportunity to win that game and Nick Bosa is able to shove the offensive lineman into Sam Darnold, forcing him to fumble. There's no Nick Bosa on the 49ers team anymore in this game to cause that. The Seahawks are going to win. I think they will. They'll lock up the 1 seed, and I personally think they are the Super Bowl champions this year. I think this is their year. I do. But moving on to the Sunday games, we're going to go kind of quick on a lot of these. First game, Saints-Falcons. Falcons just came off a crazy win, and they've been on a little bit of a winning streak. However, the Saints have been on a more notable winning streak. Saints are going to win. I am not picking against the Saints. In that Titans game, and I picked the Saints to beat the Titans, there was a lot of people who thought Tennessee was going to pull that off. The Saints are better than you think, and I think this could be one of the more dangerous and surprising teams next season, especially if their draft goes well. I think the Saints can be very dangerous next year, and I think they could be a playoff team next year. And I think they will cap this season off with a massive win on the road in Atlanta. That's what I think. I think the Saints will continue their winning streak. They'll win 5 in a row. Atlanta will ultimately lose, and the Saints win. I do not think the Saints lose this game. However, the Falcons are also really good. Well, not really good, but they are pretty good. And they've also been on a winning streak since they got eliminated. So maybe they will continue that and they'll go 8-9. However, I don't think they will. I think the Saints will continue their winning streak. I think they're a more notable team I think Tyler Shough as a rookie is more notable leading the Saints in this than Kirk Cousins is as the Falcons quarterback. I personally don't think he is very good anymore. Next game, Browns-Bengals. Another one that we're going to get by very quickly. Bengals are just the better team. Now, we all thought that last week against when the Browns went to the Steelers. Yeah, and Browns somehow managed to pull that game off. I don't think that's going to happen here. The Bengals are trying to prove themselves. Even though they've been eliminated, they have 10 losses. They're trying to prove that with Joe Burrow, they are contenders. They're going to keep winning these games. They took the Cardinals, they chewed them up and swallowed them and spit them out. That's what they did. They're going to do the same to the Browns. They're taking care of these. They're taking care of these bad teams to show that it's kind of inflating their record a little bit. However, I still think if they're playing better teams, they still would try at least. But anyway, that's beside the point. Bengals win. They're the better team. Moving on, Colts Texans. Yeah, I was wrong. Yeah, I was wrong about that game against the Jaguars. Was I close to being right? Yes. But I was not right. And Jaguars still won by almost a touchdown. Will I pick the Colts this week? No, I'm not going to. I thought maybe, just maybe, the Colts could win one more game. One more game. I personally think Phillip Rivers has earned at least one win with the Colts this season, because this team was 8-2 at one point in the season. They're now 8-8. They lose this game, they're going to have a losing record. They win this game, they'll have a winning record. However, the Texans are still fighting for that top spot in the division for the 3rd year in a row. They have to but the Jaguars have to lose for that to happen. But who they're playing, spoiler alert, I'm not gonna pick the Titans. Texans are gonna try though, and they're gonna continue to try. A lot of these teams who would be sitting players still have a lot to play for because we have a lot of seeding we have to do this week. And all these teams that have already clinched, all the spots are already locked up. However, no one knows where they're all going to fit, where they're all going to be heading into the playoffs. So, I personally think the teams that choose to rest their starters will probably lose, and the teams that choose to play their starters, will pass those teams. And I think the Texans are one of those teams that will play all their starters because they have to. Number one, and the Colts, they're not a bad team either. They're a decent team with Phillip Rivers. They just, for some reason, just can't seem to win anymore. They've lost the ability to win. The Texans, I think, are better. And they will. And they'll win. They have to. They still can win their division. They're gonna try to play. And the worst case scenario, they play their starters, they win, but they don't win the division, and they get the 5 seed. So, yeah. Either way, they're gonna want to win, because if they lose, they're gonna drop to the 6 or 7 seed. And I don't think they want that. Next game, Titans, Jaguars. Yeah, this isn't a hard pick. Jaguars win. They're playing for the division. They currently are in the driver's seat. All they got to do is win, and they've won the division. They're going to play. Titans are going to get cremated, and Jaguars win. Next game, Packers, Vikings. This is one of the teams that have made the playoffs and don't look like a playoff team. This Packers team does not look like a playoff team. They don't. They have lost 3 straight since. I think they have lost every game since the Micah Parsons injury. And now Jordan Love gets injured. A couple weeks ago, we see Malik Willis, who is playing really well. So, however, the defense is just selling the game away. And this is a really good Minnesota defense. This Vikings team is on a winning streak. This Packers team is in a free fall. This Vikings team can still get a winning record. They can still salvage the season to a winning record at least. And they're going to try. They're at home. Give me Minnesota over Green Bay. The Packers just cannot win. I don't know what's going on with Green Bay. Well, I mean, I know what's going on with Green Bay, but it's not at the beginning of the year, they were supposed to be the Super Bowl team. Now, they're the 7th seed, and they look to be another first-round exit. Moving on. So, give me Minnesota. I think Minnesota is just the better team here. Moving on. Cowboys, Giants. Yeah, this isn't a very hard one. Giants still had the opportunity for the 1 seed. They blew it with that Raiders win for the 1 seed. For the number 1 overall pick, they blew it with that win. Cowboys, they're going to try to keep winning these games. They will win this game. There's no reason, even though they're at home, even though they're on the road, they're still going to beat the Giants. I don't think the Giants are going to continue to try to win. They obviously had to kind of try against the Raiders because, well, the Raiders are a worser team. But the Cowboys are better, and they're going to want to lose this game. So, Give me the Cowboys. Cowboys beat the Giants. Moving on. Jets-Bills. Well, the Bills had an opportunity for the AFC East, and then my Eagles happened. So, yeah. The Bills are okay. If you watch my power rankings videos, you know what I'm about to say. The Bills rely, in my opinion, way too much on Josh Allen. They rely on him too much. He doesn't have any star receiver. Yeah, he has decent receivers, but he doesn't have a Stephon Diggs on the team, but it's a very reliable target. He doesn't have a Justin Jefferson or a a Lamar Chase. He doesn't have that anymore. Now what he has is a few okay, decent receivers that can catch the ball when they're open, and if they're covered and they're covered badly, probably not going to catch the ball. And that's going to require Josh Allen to run, adding on the fact that he's still, even though he says that his injury is fine, he injured his toe, he definitely seemed limited against the Eagles of being able to really run. Is that because we just completely surrounded him too early for him to really get out of the pocket? Or is that because he actually is still dealing with his foot injury? I don't know. I hope it's the first one, because that's a sign our defense is really, really starting to look good. And that's going to be key in the playoffs. But the Bills will win this game. There's no reason why they lose this game. It's the Jets. The Jets are going to also be trying to tank. So, yeah, the Jets, they lose. The Bills win. That's what happens. The Jets are just not... The Jets are trying to get a top 5, maybe even potentially trying to get the number 1 pick. However, they need the Raiders to win, which, I mean, may have. Actually, I think it will. But anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. The Bills are just the better team. Give me the Bills. Moving on, Lions, Bears. Yeah. Well, at least you had at least you could still get a winning record, Lions. Bears. They played well. They actually played well in that game, and I picked the Bears. However, we need the Bears to lose for us to get the 2 seed. So the Bears need to lose to the Lions. So Lions, please don't do what you did to what you did against the Vikings, because the Bears will dominate that game. We need you to beat the Bears. Please beat the Bears. The Lions, they're a free-falling team. I'm sorry, I can't pick them. I just can't. This is a team that just does not look good anymore. They just don't look good. And this is something I didn't realize this before, but I see it. I actually did calculations. When he took over when the Lions were 5-3 after that Vikings loss. That is around the time that Dan Campbell took over play calling. That was after. That was after. That was before. Dan Campbell went and took over play calling duties. They were 5-3. Since then, they're 3-5, and they're sitting at an 8-8 record. So overall, hindsight being 2020, now is this necessarily his fault? Not fully. You can argue he goes for it on 4th down way too much, which he does. I know from experience playing the Lions, he went for it way too much, especially when you're not getting any of them. The Bears are just the better team. Like I said, I cannot pick the Lions right now. The Lions just don't look good at all. The Bears have locked up the division with the Packers losing. The Bears, with this 49ers loss, are they a legit team? I mean, they're a good team. They are a good team. However, they're a good team, but I don't think they are a Super Bowl team yet. I don't. That's why I have Seattle coming out of the conference as opposed to them. I don't think they're quite there yet. Maybe next season. But I think they will for sure beat the Lions, and I'm sure Ben Johnson is going to get one against the Lions. So give me the Bears. Lions, you get a losing record. Next game, Chargers-Broncos. This is another interesting one. This is one of the better games of the week. Chargers are a good team. The Broncos are maybe a good team. At least defensively, they're a good team. Offensively, they're not, but I mean, we're the same way. So, this Chargers O-line is not great. Last time these two met, the Chargers were going on a crazy tear when they beat everyone in the division, and they were 3-0. Since then, their O-line has gotten really injured. The Broncos' defense is really good, and they can produce a lot of sacks. At least they were at the beginning of the year. Yeah, give me the Broncos. Broncos need to lock up the 1 seed. They're going to want to lock up the 1 seed. Give me the Broncos. The Chargers are... They're similar to the Bears. They're a good team, but I don't think they're quite there yet. They're not on the same level as, like, say, Denver or New England or Seattle. They're not quite there yet. So give me Denver. Plus they're at home. I can't imagine not the elevation playing a factor in this one. Give me the Broncos. The Chargers, they're just not. They're not quite ready yet. Cardinals, Rams. This is another one of these weird ones. However, this is an easier game to predict, but this isn't like a for sure thing. The Rams just lost to the Falcons. That's all I have to say about that. The Rams could have gone 12-4. They could still potentially at least have the 5 seed, which they could still do, but they could still be in the 5 seed. They could be just fine right now, but no, they choose to blow it on the Falcons. So I don't know. My brain tells me the Rams will win this game. However, the Cardinals, they may just dominate the Rams, and the Cardinals did play well against the Falcons when they played, so maybe the Cardinals will win this game, and if they do, that's a real bad sign for the Rams, because that's a sign that the Rams are going to more than likely choke the season away and probably be a first round exit or a divisional round exit. Depends on who they get to play. If they lose, they're going to get the 6th seed. So they'll play either us or the Bears. Which, if they play us, I honestly don't care. If we are the 3 seed or the 2 seed, I would rather the 2 seed because we play the Packers, who is really a banged-up team. So I think personally, that's better for us to play the Packers. However, if we have to play the Rams, I'm fine with playing the Rams. If we have to play the 49ers, we might be in trouble. But I honestly don't mind. I would rather play the Packers or Rams. I personally would not want to play the 49ers right now. Chiefs-Raiders. Now, this is a game that may shock a lot of people. And yet again, it may not. The Chiefs have a third-string quarterback right now. The Raiders, they're just a bad team. That pretty much evens the playing field. I still think Raiders win. The Chiefs, they're just not they're not there anymore. Without Mahomes, Kelsey is not really playing that well. No one is really there. Like Chris Jones is playing pretty good, but he's talking about how the team can't commit any can't commit any penalties, and then he's the first one to commit a penalty for the Chiefs. Yeah, I think Raiders win. The Chiefs are on the road. That's going to make things even worse for them. They're going to be in Las Vegas. Give me the Raiders. I think Raiders get this win, and they end up blowing their draft ability. Moving on. Dolphins, Patriots. Okay. Patriots are just the better team. Miami got lucky with playing a weak Tampa team. So Patriots win. The Dolphins are not there. I mean, it's the backup. It's Quinn Ewers, who, I mean, looked decent against the Buccaneers, but didn't look good at all against the Bengals, and they're not supposed to have a good defense. So yeah, Patriots are gonna beat the Dolphins, especially they're at home. They're gonna win. There's no doubt at all. Patriots win. Commanders, Eagles. This is finally, we get to finally talk about the Eagles, even though I've kind of alluded to talking about them. Yeah, like I said before, we win, Bears lose, we get the 2 seed. I would rather the 2 seed than the 3 seed. I would rather play the Packers over the Rams, and I sure would rather play the Packers over the 49ers. So, or the Seahawks. Let's put that example. 49ers actually get the 1 seed, and the Seahawks lose. They would be the 5 seed, so we wouldn't be playing them, I don't think, but still, it would be either the Rams or the Packers. And I would much rather it be the Packers than the Rams, because the Rams are not quite, in my opinion, free-falling. They've lost 2 straight. If they lose to the Cardinals, I would say they're free-falling, and then I wouldn't really mind one way or another, because Rams aren't great, in my opinion. At least not right now. I did think they were a good team back when they had like 2 losses, and they were like 8-2 and dominating Tampa. That's when I thought they were good, but then they lost to Carolina, and then they won, and then they've gotten too exposed. They're starting to lose too much, and they're starting to become a little bit too fluky. So yeah, I think Rams are a first-round exit, no matter if they play the Bears or the Eagles. But anyway, we win. Obviously, I haven't really picked this game. We win this game. Commanders they're not there. I mean, they played well against the Cowboys, but it wasn't well enough to win. And last time we played them, we were up by 11 in their house, and now we're at home, which is going to make things even worse for them. We'll sweep the Commanders. We'll take care of business. Eagles win. Now, final game, the Sunday game. These are Sunday games. The Sunday night game. Ravens, Eagles. Ravens, Steelers. There we go. Obviously, win. You win the division, lose, you're eliminated. Yeah, Steelers, this game wouldn't even really matter if the Steelers had beaten the Browns, but apparently the Steelers can't win when they need to win, so. Yeah, ultimately, I think Baltimore Baltimore's not good. Baltimore got lucky when they played the Packers. They are not a good team either. The Steelers are at home, which is going to be even worse for Baltimore. No. This Ravens team, is the Steelers team good? Like, good enough to make a Super Bowl? No, they're not. But are they better than the way the Ravens have been playing the last few weeks, not counting this last week? Yes. They beat the Ravens a few weeks ago. They are in their house. So, I think they are personally much better than the Ravens this season. Give me the Steelers. Give me Aaron Rodgers to make the playoffs and to retire, hopefully retire, in his final year, making the playoffs and then losing in the first round to probably Houston. Or maybe if he's left Buffalo. Yeah, either way, Steelers win and get into the division, and then they're a first round exit. That's what they are. That's what they always are. They'll go 10-7 or 9-8, and they barely make the playoffs, or they barely win the division, and they're a first round exit. They're not a good team. Neither are the Ravens. The Ravens are worse in my opinion. Give me the Steelers at home. Yeah. So, those are my predictions for Week 18. Very last week of the regular season. We're finally here. We're in the playoffs now. And thank you for 1 million subscribers. Wait, no. Wow. Yeah, we got to 1 million. No. Thank you for 500 subscribers. That's, yeah, no, I can't believe we got to 1 million. No. Nope. Thank you for 500 subscribers. Yeah, can't believe it. Personally, I thought at around this point I'd be like lucky if we got to like 50 or 75 by the end of the week, by the end of the year. I'm sitting here heading into the playoffs with now over 500 subscribers. We've superseded all of my other channels. This is now my top channel. Thank you. And now we're on the push for 600 subscribers, and we're ultimately working our way up to 1,000. So let's keep it moving forward. And yeah, links to both my channels, Southwest Gamer and Legos Models, will be in the description. Southwest Gamer is a gaming channel, sport video gaming channel. So like Retro Bowl, Madden, Hoopland, games like that. And then Legos Models is Legos, so yeah, links to both those channels will be in the description if you're interested in any of that. And I'll see you in the next video where the playoffs will have started.